Your team is bleeding hours and hours with work item creation. Let's learn how to use AI to do it in seconds. I am really looking forward to it. It's called Shaving the Yak with AI. And this is about the problem that I've been dealing with for more than 30 years, where devs want really good specs and product owners want speed. And they don't like writing specs. If they would like writing specs perfectly, having a quick chat, a lot of problems would be solved. But that also eats up a lot of time. So you often don't want devs writing specs and doing all that and burning a lot of time. So there I am shaving a yak there. A great image that I took in Nepal. I certainly didn't use any AI imaging software for that. All right. Firstly, we have a rewards app. So guys here, it would be awesome if you could scan that code. And later on the night, you'll get the points for this, and you get more points, and then you can take away some of those prizes, including fluffy llamas and other cool things. Now, this is how I structured tonight's talk. I want to talk about this YakShaving Dilemma that certainly I witnessed, and many people will say I caused. And it really does eat up a lot of time in a company. Then I want to talk about how you can transform words into work items, and we talk about those AI concepts. I'll give you a demo as well. And then I want to talk about how to build an AI solution, the lessons we learned ourselves, and what we are planning on doing in the future. So we build a lot of AI solutions here at SSW. I would say, historically, we've built web apps and web APIs and, low-code apps these days and Power Platform apps and mobile apps. But these days, we're doing a ton of AI projects. Customers really have some good ideas. So this is me. I blog at adamcogan.com. I'm also a Microsoft Regional Director. One of a few in Australia. They're everywhere around the world. This is also an AI image because I would never dress up like this in real life. Okay. All right. So here is the story. A bug strikes. You're in a meeting. I'm often in a meeting with, it's not uncommon to be in a meeting with 5 or 6 people. We are busy. We're talking about something important. And we notice a bug. Okay, let's just assume the login flow of some site fails on some special characters. Go, what the hell were they thinking? That definitely needs to be fixed, but we're talking about something else, something possibly more important than this little bug. So I think you can break this down into 4 different options, and I'd love to know which ones you think you fall into. So there's a bunch of people there. You see a bug. Some people just say, all right, ignore it, move on. They almost pretend it didn't exist. Something pops up in the middle of the screen, can be quite clear, but they still ignore it. And I've seen a lot of people do that. It's certainly no interruption. That meeting continues. Let's just say it's a finance meeting or a sprint review or something. If everybody ignores it, that bug will persist until somebody else finds it. Now, if they find it in a meeting, and that's the general policy of just plowing through, you have to kind of experience that when someone's not in a meeting. Here's the other way. Option B, pin it for later. So sometimes, and I've done this too, you could have a piece of paper or an iPad and you just write login bug, okay? And later on, when I look at my notepad, physical notepad, I see some of these. Sometimes I cross them through. Often it's days later when I get to it, and I actually do not remember some of the words I've written, believe it or not. This allows the meeting to continue, but requires you to do follow-up. It'd be great if every single night you did all the follow-up things. This wouldn't be a problem. but memories fade, details blur. I don't have the screenshot anyway, so the best thing I could possibly do would be write an email. There was a bug in the login. I don't have it now, but there was a problem. Could you have a look at it? The problem is that after the meeting, there's another meeting, and later often becomes never. So I don't like this much. And another way that I have seen a lot where it happens and someone snaps a screenshot of it. Sometimes somebody pulls out a phone and takes a photo of somebody's screen. I have Snagit. My common one when I've done this option C, which I call half-ass it, but you screenshot it and then I would ping it to say Levi, and he's got that. Maybe he was in the meeting, maybe he wasn't. Hopefully he will do something. It's fast and they have a nice screenshot. But the big problem is I am not sure 100% if they all get actioned. And that fear of sending, screenshots to different people or quick messages, I know that some of them don't get actioned, all right? And sometimes I think that's significant, and I definitely don't want that to happen. Option D, stop. Someone take a screenshot. All right, we take the screenshot, we pull up a GitHub issue, or maybe just pull up an email, paste the screenshot in, and just write down, I was just on this page. Now I better paste the URL in. I'll paste the URL in. I like a subject that's decent or a GitHub title that's decent. So I put that in. Somebody says, I'll put bug at the beginning. I put an emoji, warning emoji, put some other bits and pieces. So that is option D. Now, the problem is this derails the meeting. And even though I'm pretty quick at this, it's certainly at least 5 to 10 minutes, especially with other people saying, oh, yeah, clean that up, do that. We often in our company put check by. So you put, check by Lewis if he's sitting next to me. And now Lewis's name's on it. He wants, I'll put some numbers there, make it clearer because he's thinking, somebody else is going to do this. And I know that we should make that a little bit clearer. But doing this, planning to do X and ending up doing Y is a concept known as YakShaving. How many people here have heard of the term YakShaving, before a week ago, before this session came out? Okay, so a very small percentage of the audience. Now, I have been in the software industry for a while, and I've certainly heard it, but I will show you a video, and I think this explains it quite well. And I'll just play this. So, who has experienced this YakShaving phenomenon before?
In software or real?
We'll say in software. Well, let's keep it. All right, in real life, definitely, but in software. Okay, all right. That's almost everyone here. So I want to know how you handle it, okay? You've got A, ignore it. B, put a pin in it. P, half-ass it and send a screenshot. Or D, just stop and report it there and make the meeting longer, or you don't finish it. So who's in the camp of A generally? Who prefers A? Wow, no one likes to ignore it, but wow, that's different to meetings I've been in. Who likes to put a pin in it and just quickly take a quick note so we can continue? All right, this seems like I think 80% of the room. Who likes to half-ass it? Just flick it to somebody else. This would be, all right, so we got 20%. Oh my goodness. Who loves to do this? And I think this is the root of the problem because no one is putting up their hand for that. If anybody has worked at SSW knows that I lean towards this way because I definitely want things done. Now, if you chose option D, you're a hero, okay? I'm the hero of every dev team, I like to think. But other people don't enjoy meetings with you because they don't want to fix bugs. They want to get their problem solved. The big problem, if this happened only once in a meeting, it would be okay. But sometimes one of these leads on to another, which leads on to another, and then you end up like that hell, right? And that also everybody's frustrated. Not much fun. All right. What if there was a fifth option? That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. YakShaving. YakShaving can be fixed by using AI. And I think that you're going to love this. So let's talk about YakShaver. So this is the concept. You're in a meeting. You see a bug. You hit record. And 30 seconds later, it's done. And all you think to yourself is, thank you, YakShaver. So I want to show you how this works. And I will just switch off to a browser. And I will come here to a site, okay? We just updated this to .NET 9. So this is a somewhat real example. I look down here to check that it all looks pretty good. I have I don't particularly like the style of that. Oh, that looks a bit weird too. Don't like that too much, but I can't see anything else wrong. Okay. But I probably wouldn't report it because it's going to take a bit of time. I'm in another meeting. But if I wasn't, then I could use a tool. If I'm in a Teams call, I could press record. If I have Snagit, I could use that. If I have nothing, I still, on every Windows installation, I have something called Shift Windows R. And what does that bring up? This pretty ordinary tool called Snipping Tool, okay? Who's used the Snipping Tool? A few. Okay, all right. The Snipping Tool, I'm going to convince you that you should use this more, unless you get a better tool. Most of us in our company use Snagit and other tools. But imagine that we had this. And so what I would do is I'm just going to say, this one asks you to say what size of screen you want, okay? Snagit is a lot quicker than this. But all I have to do is press, so imagine you're in a meeting, I just press start. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and it has a countdown there. So then it starts here. Hey, on this page, northwind365.com, I think you've done a good job, but one little thing, I don't like features. See that red underline? That red underline is so fat, it looks like strike through to me. I'd love you to fix that, cheers. Now, I did that in 16 seconds, right? So that is just, you can even get quicker as you get better, but I would say almost all yaks that I shave are under 30 seconds, okay? Every now and then, it might climb up to a minute. Now, what I want you to know is that less than 30 seconds that I took captured something that we just agreed on, and it could be anything. And in the background, that gets recorded and goes through an AI process. So I want to tell you what is going on now. So we have this process that saves that file into a OneDrive folder, and I'll talk through this bit and then I'll talk through this. So let's just zoom into this area. So you can use any tool you want. Most of the time I'm in a Teams meeting, so I just record it using Teams. But if I'm just like now, I'm not in a Teams call, I just use the snipping tool, or I could use any tool I want. It goes into OneDrive. Then we convert that to an audio file because we want to get the transcript, and we use OpenAI's Whisper. So we end up, what I just said then turns into a transcript file. And from that point, then we go through some logic, and we'll talk through this a bit more, but generally, we now have essentially a script of what was said, and we infer the user's intent, and then we go and take some data from the company. Now, in our company, we are developing a dozen products. So we have about 12 products that we're doing. One of them is YakShaver, sugar learning, Eagle Eye. There's a whole bunch of them, and they all have a backlog themselves. So we have a list of projects. In our case, it's in Dynamics, could be in GitHub or Azure DevOps, and that gets put there, plus all the users in our company, their users. And so then it then works out, am I sending an email to someone or am I putting a work item in some backlog? And then it asks, how confident are you? If it's a high confidence, it goes through and does the action. If it's low confidence, it asks for some things. You might have mentioned a few different products and it's got confused. Which one are you talking about? You might have mentioned Jack and there's 3 Jacks. Not sure which Jack. It will then ask you some extra questions. So then it pulls in the templates. Now, in our case, we have a rule on work items and how they should be structured. Every instruction, every PBI that we make has a pain, the problem, and then it has acceptance criteria. And we also usually put an image in there to show what we were looking at, something like that. And also you should paste the URL. And we also put some emojis into the titles of bugs as well to indicate if it's a feature, it's a bug, or whatever. And then the action of that happens. So what I'd like to do is then show you what happens, but it converts that to whatever it's meant to do. Now, we have this running in Teams, so I'll just jump over to Teams. Here is this, all right? And now the one that I just did before is this. Remember 14 seconds? I'll just open it just so you can see it. That's here. Hey, on this page, northwind365.com, now there's the video, all right? So what I can now do is have a look at what's created. So I can look in here and it says, look, a work item was created by YakShaver. It was thrown into the Northwind 365 project. This is the title. Adjust the red underline. See how it's worked out what it is? Hasn't assigned it to anyone. And it's mentioned a few people. Mentioned myself, Callum, Yuli, who care about this particular project. Now, I could move this or close it. And it has a little tip here. It says, check the work item, give it a thumbs up. That lets other people know that you've checked it. So I'll just click on this and it will open this up. And this was the thing that was automatically created in the background. As you get more used to this, you kind of have more confidence that it gets it right all the time. So you don't always have to check it. I usually make sure that the title is right. I really care that this is right. Now, it's not a bug, it's a change. It's put this under my name, which is important to me, not under YakShaver's name. And it's given the video here. It's also put the pane. Look, it's worked that out. The red underline is too thick, making it appear like strike through. Adjust the thickness to improve readability and the user experience. It's then given some acceptance criteria, what should be done. It's included a screenshot for the developer so they know. Look how it picked the exact right moment. Is that impressive? It's also put a figure. I never put a image in an email without a figure, which explains what I was looking at. So the fat red underlined resembles strike through. That's even how I would speak. All right. So I'm pretty happy. I don't think a developer could get that wrong or complain. I could be wrong. They complain a lot. All right. So how many people are impressed by that? Out of the box. I think I've got unanimous. That is pretty bloody good. Now, we can thank AI for most of that, but not all of it, okay? So that is like the most quintessential example of getting bugs reported quickly and not derailing a meeting. All right, and I really like the output that we do to Microsoft Teams so you can quickly see what happened and you can go back and do things. All right, so all I have to do is click Open Work Item and check it, and I really should have done what I was instructed to do. I was pretty happy with that, so I'd scroll down and I'd give that a thumbs up so they knew. And pretty much the only change I ever make is to titles because the rest is pretty good. And look, the reality is most devs, they have a quick look, they watch the video, they learn everything from the video. All right. Now, that is an example of what the output is. And by doing this, you are saving so many hours. For me, hours each day, I can say that, but most people in our company, hours every week. Now, I want to be clear, this is a paid product YakShaver. I'm not trying to sell to any of you guys here tonight. If any of you want a free version, just send me an email and say, Adam Cogan at ssw.com.au, and just say something. I attended tonight's presentation. You said that you'll give me a free version for a year. Okay. So, but I think there's a lot more to learn about how these concepts can be applied in your organization. So just to be clear, these are the things that I didn't have to worry about. Where is the backlog for that specific product? Okay. You might know the backlog for, Sugar Learning or Time Pro, but the clean architecture one, does that have a backlog? Where is that? Who's in charge of that? You might not know that. Who should be mentioned? Like I happen to know to mention Daniel Mackay, but you might not know that. What is the organization's work item template? Like I can tell you, if you don't use the template, you'll forget the pain and that you must enter acceptance criteria before you fix a bug. What's the core issue? I can't tell you how many times I actually waste time on a title or an email subject. I try to get that right. So I've saved that time as well. The acceptance criteria. And when it's a bug, no developer is going to fix anything without repro steps. And you can really annoy me by talking about a problem without a screenshot, okay? And include the URL while you're at it, please. All right. So a lot of little things that YakShaver did in that 20 seconds. So I don't know if you've thought how much time does one bug takes to report on average, okay? There's quick bugs like I just did then, but there's other ones that require a lot of thinking, options, how, they could entail a schema change, like, a one-to-many relationship or something else. So some of these take a bit of time. I've put here, humans take 30 minutes. And the reason I've done this is deep research. I want you to be aware. You can do some deep research on this. There's a lot of studies that talk about how long bugs take to create. Now, don't forget, a bug can be reported and then a dev calls you back and say, I'm really sorry. That bug report is pretty cryptic. I'm not really sure what you meant. Can we talk through this? Now, that's more time because you might have forgotten, by the way, especially if there was a few weeks went by, you're struggling to even get context of what you were looking at, thinking about, etc. And sometimes you're reading your own report or email and you don't know what it says. So if you look down here, the time it takes to craft this, and there's a lot of links to all these different studies. So this is deep research on this particular problem. And it essentially says that some bugs take 15 minutes and some bugs take 3 hours and some obviously could take more. So there's a lot of examples here. I'll just say, like in conclusion, while there's no single right number for how long it takes to create a ready backlog item, the benchmarks above provide a frame of reference. Creating a quality PBI or user story is usually measured in hours, often 1 to 3 hours, including all the roles inputs, where logging a quality bug is measured in minutes, perhaps a quarter of an hour, give or take. And it goes on and on and on. There's a whole bunch of research, but know that, let's say it takes about 30 minutes on average, right? YakShaver takes 1 minute to do this. Just the time it takes to record that video. So if you think about how many bugs did you report? How many features did you ask for last week? Can I ask how many people did at least a few last week? Okay, so I think I've got the majority of you. If you multiply that by 30 minutes each, a chunk of your week went. Now, multiply that by the hourly rate of a developer, okay? Developers come in all shapes and sizes and price ranges. Some are hundreds and hundreds of dollars and some on Upwork $50 an hour. So I'm going to say, let's say it's $100 an hour. And I just, in our tool, you can go into our tool here, and I can just type in here, leaderboard. And that will look up all the yaks that were shaved, and you can see straight away that Yuli and I report the most items. Josh and Lewis, they're using it. Miss Duke, she's using it a fair bit. And you can see just the top 30, there was 190 in our company. Now, we have approximately 100 people, and just the top 30 saved 98 hours. Now, if you say it's $100 an hour, you're essentially, if you say it's 1 hour or half an hour, you're essentially saving $9,800 US, okay, just in that period. Now, let's just look at, 98 hours is just over 2 weeks. One person, 2 weeks of time saved. So, and this is just one example where AI implemented in your company can save a whole bunch of time. And I just found this kind of fascinating. So, by the way, I would love to get your opinion. This is one leaderboard we have which just says leaderboard and the number of shaves that you did, the number of bugs that you reported. Or this one where we put, the total shaves and the shaved hours saved and the amount. So I am curious, who prefers just the simple one just like this? Who prefers the more complicated one with the numbers? Okay, that's it, everyone. Okay, all right, then that's good. So we might run with this by default. Now, it's not just about quick work items, okay? It has other implications in the business. We've been running this now for about 6 months. Your meetings stay on track. Your developers have everything they need to start work, and there's no back and forth calls and messages from devs. They see what you did with that video. Now, the lower friction means there's more bugs reported and more ideas captured, okay? And I can just say, as an example, the entire development of YakShaver with a team of half a dozen, they used YakShaver to do all their work. So all the bugs that they were fixing, all the features they were implemented were done via a YakShaved, okay? A video that was done on every discussion. So it was done eating its own dog food all the way. So I am just going to show you an example. We have certain people in the company, especially sales guys, that don't like writing detailed PBIs. Here is an example of somebody using Tina and having a problem. I'm trying to switch between branches in GitHub on Tina on the home page, and it's not working. Can someone fix this? I don't know who someone is, but usually when everyone's fixing something, no one's fixing anything. Now, I would say, hang on, can you give us a little bit more context? A screenshot would be helpful. Now, this as an example, this is one example, not much, you might be able to fix it. Now, I'm going to use this. This is Michael Smedley. He is not a person that writes detailed PBIs, but look how awesome he did this. He wrote this. Now, he just did a YakShape, by the way, just a different person seeing the same problem. Hi, team. Watch the video of my pain. Here's the URL. I was on the SSW homepage, and the pain is unable to switch the main branch back and forth in the admin section. Here's the acceptance criteria. I didn't even know he does acceptance criteria. I'm really impressed by Mike. He's amazing. And he's given a really nice title here, unable to switch to the main branch in admin on the SSW website. He's even used the emoji, the bug emoji. This guy's amazing. All right. So that is just an example, a real example of a real bug done by a person in Melbourne on our Tina site. All right. Okay. So that's how YakShaver works. What I'd like to now do is just go through some of the learnings that we had trying to get this yak shaved. Okay, we had a lot of learnings where we went through. Now, I want to tell you how this started in the beginning. What happened was we have a brainstorming day where the whole company comes together. We do it once in Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, and China. And people put forward different ideas. And this was back, when was it? February 27th, 2024. So about a year ago, right? So, just over a year ago. So let's have a look at what Yuli did to present. Now, he had a little video here, and I'll just open this. I'll just take it from the beginning. Now, one of the things that inside our company, they like to make fun of the fact that when people make a call with me, a Teams call, I like it as they would do it with a client, just to confirm. They zoom the browser to 125, they get rid of any extraneous toolbars, they get rid of the ribbon, it's very clear, they're ready to go, their background is looking good. I also love to make fun that my phone rings Adele, okay? So with that in mind, have a look at this.
Okay, hi everyone. We are this Team YakShaver. By the way, sorry, I just renamed the team. I haven't told you guys yet. It was Quick Tasker, and then it was Task Yeeter. We've been through some iterations. So now we're YakShaver, and we are the cyberpunks. So Callum was also joining us online. We have the same agenda as everyone else, so we'll just skip past that. You all know this pain. You've been working on a task for a couple of days. It's the sprint goal. Your sprint review is this afternoon, and you only have one task left on your board. There's one problem. You check, maybe he's free. Look, he's not in a call. I could get him. I'll just calling in 1 minute. Oh, no, okay, no, all right. That's okay, that's all right. We'll try this afternoon. So, you come back, you manage to get him on a call. He answers. You share your screen. Can you hide your toolbar? Yes, Adam, yep. Can you zoom to 125? Yep, zooming. So you open up YouTube, you're showing your done video, and this reminds him, I think he just saw Mike sharing one of your videos on LinkedIn. Hang on, was that following a rule? Let's call Mike in and just make sure, you know what, it wasn't. Let's draft an email while we've got Mike on the call. Yeah, okay, no, I think we're happy with that. Right, we did good work today, didn't we? We got that rule sorted out, yeah. All right, 15 minutes later, you've got rid of Mike, you're back on track. You open up the done video, you press play, and then you hear this. Anyone ever had this experience? Yeah. Where's Piers? Where's Piers gone? Yeah. Are you okay, man? Is that triggering? So, this is, anyone know what this is called? This problem? Yeah, it's shaving the yak, right? It's in the name. So.
All right. Anyway, he goes on for another 21 minutes to make fun of me and talk about a potential problem. And he talks through some different ways of building this with AI. It's quite interesting the way, like, to look back on how this was going to be done versus how we ended up doing it. So I want to talk about a few things that kept changing, and it will influence the way you decide on AI projects as well. Now, we started this probably around this time. See this pink dot? Around that time. And the prices of AI kept coming down, and it was affecting our decisions on what we could do and what we couldn't do, and how much money we would spend on this product. Be aware, just on the x-axis here, it's logarithmic, so that would be going way down. Okay, sorry, the y-axis. So things were changing to about 10 times cheaper per year, and unviable things that we thought were not possible quickly became possible. And I think that this is going to continue on. So plan for the future, not right today. The other big thing that kept changing was how we were going to get people's recordings. Teams or browser extensions, should we build a Windows XE? How would we be going? Could we do a Snagit plugin? All these different things. In the end, we had this real thinking that most of this would be in meetings, because that's where most of these problems happen, in a Teams meeting. But there was also the Solar situation. Should we make a standalone XE, a browser extension, or something like that? Developers particularly wanted that whatever the solution was, it had to have keyboard shortcuts. That's why I mentioned to you before, Windows Shift R is on your computer. Okay, it wasn't a shortcut I knew about. Now, the initial idea, version 1, was let's invite an AI bot directly into the Teams meeting. So you're in a Teams meeting with someone, you go, all right, that's a great idea. Let's quickly record that. We will invite another essential user into the meeting. We went down this road, but we ended up with a lot of recording permissions, and those problems were difficult. Anyway, then we moved on to this new solution where it was going to be recording all Teams messages in the organization. It was basically running all the time. And then we had access to the meeting metadata. We could CC all the attendees on the meeting. This looked promising. It was very expensive. It was clear that we're only going to be able to sell this to very large enterprises. And a lot of even the devs on the project, which are pretty gung-ho on this stuff, they were saying this has an ick factor. Like, it's always there. It's going to be making PBIs of things that people didn't intend. You forget the thing is there, etc. It's like having a black box in your cockpit. All right. And then we ended up with version 3, which was a new video trigger, which, you put a video into a folder and it picked it out. In fact, as an example, there is the folder. And if I was to open this guy up, which was the last one I did, it's here. Hey, on this page, northwind365.com, so that's the video. So it got plonked there. So every time a video ends up in this folder, we say, hello, new one, let's start processing. Nice and simple, works for many options. That's why we support everything, pretty much, as long as a file can get outputted to a folder. Now, the only problem is that if people record big, long, ugly videos, it takes a while to process. That's about it. Now, the other big pain is we had a lot of auth problems, okay? There was a lot of time spent with auth problems, with Teams and other problems. That definitely eats up more time than you expect. We have a ton of PBIs relating to trying to fix auth problems. Okay. The other thing that started happening is people would record something and then kind of cancel what they're doing. They didn't like the way they explained the bug, or well, I guess that was the main thing. They just said, I want to start again. So they would just cancel it. So we ended up having to put some logic in there. So it sounds like you just wanted to cancel. And then we had to confirm, do you want to cancel or not cancel? The other thing is some people were very ambiguous about what was going on, or we weren't sure. So if the certainty ever drops below 70%, we ask for clarification. So we pop messages into Teams to say, okay, you mentioned a couple of projects there. Which one are you talking about? All right. Yeah, especially if you're talking about Sugar Learning or YakShaver or some other project, we're not sure. So we'll ask. If you mention Jack, and there's 3 Jacks working here, we need to say which Jack. Now, we also do some intelligence to work out whether Jack works in that team or that team. So most of the time we can work this out, but sometimes we can't. There's a whole lot of other things where, Ulysses, we all call him Yuli. And, we say, YakShaver, and other people say JackShaver, okay, with an accent. So that would look for Jack instead of the product. So we came up with a solution where we essentially plunked in all our project names, all our usernames, and we added nicknames to everyone. So everybody that has Michael has Mike, Ulysses has Yuli, all that type of stuff. Suzanne has Sue. We haven't done that yet, but we're about to. Anyway, so there is Levi. There's TJ downstairs, stuck outside. The other TJ. Well, there's two of you. See, talking about disambiguation, we've got two TJs here. Now, so essentially we feed in all that extra information. And one of the things that we learned was when we got our transcript, rather than feed that in and try to get it to disambiguate, we would get it and then fix it up before we did all the processing. So we did the best job we could with all this extra information. And then we started realizing that people wanted to move things or close PBI, so we added some extra buttons in here. So that was useful because we didn't realize people sometimes just want to move it to another project. So here's the other thing. When you start doing an AI project, we're used to doing business applications with a lot of C# code, right? But now things have changed, and we really wanted, we wanted YakShaver to be as smart as possible. That as smart as possible basically means more prompting, more AI lets it do more stuff that even we weren't thinking of, especially when people report bugs in a manner that I didn't think. I thought people report bugs in the way that I report bugs, or the way I've, taught a lot of people to report bugs. So if you have too much code, your app is rigid. If you have too much prompting, it can be less predictable. So now this is a while ago. What is the best way to get a prompt to return consistent output from the LLM? Anyone know? Well, what we started doing was getting the prompt to give us the feedback back in JSON, right? So we would say, all right, do all that stuff and please return it in JSON. And then it would return it in JSON and put a comment, here's the JSON. No, then we'd say, please return JSON only. And it goes, there it is. That's JSON only. And we go, no, please, nothing else, only JSON. And it would do it. And then it would sometimes give you an extra message saying, that's only JSON. It would break it every time it did that. Anyway, the good news was that structured JSON outputs was released by OpenAI. And so, you can have a look here. So this is a key thing. So you've got text and prompting, images, and now structured inputs. This really changed the game for us and will for you too. So as an example, this is the structure we want, name, data, participants. There's the data, and there is it being returned in JSON format. So that's great. So we definitely took advantage of that. Now, if you look at the YakShaver code base, right? I'll just have a quick look here. But the YakShaver code base has a lot of prompting in, all right? And we can, this bit here. So here is a comment. So there is a comment here that says what this does. So just for context, you know how every issue has a screenshot, and the screenshot must be at the right time where they're really saying, this is the bit I'm complaining about, and this is where I'm looking. So the comment says, identifies the key moment in a transcript where the user references the screen. He extracts the start and end and extract the start, end, and exact second of the moment, then condenses it into a concise caption. This is very strange English. Extracts the start, end, and exact second of the moment, then condenses it into a concise caption. Returns the result as a JSON object with when the user references the screen and the caption of the key moment. Now, I just want to tell you something. You shouldn't really have comments when your code is a prompt. okay? You can read your prompt and you don't need this. Now, be aware, these comments are generated by AI, all right? So we don't write these comments manually. These are done by AI, and that's why it's a little bit weird. But if you really want to know what it does, you can just read it. Analyze the following transcript to identify the most significant moment when the user is referencing the screen to explain the core task. So number one, identify the key contexts. Looks for the moment where the screen is explicitly referenced. For example, as you can see here on the screen, or I'm looking at something here, okay? Now, it also says here, identify key actions, decisions, or issues being discussed. So see that first part was pretty obvious. They're saying this bit sucks, right? This second bit says identify key actions, decisions, or issues being discussed. We can use it, for example, we can use this product as a solution because what we found, we had to add this second bit because we found that a lot of people were not just complaining, they were saying how they wanted it to be, and we had to pick that out. So that's that. And then we have other bits in here, find the time range, condense the caption. So now what it's saying, you've got the screenshot, you've got it at the right time, you need to put a figure with the guts of what the problem is or what needs to be fixed. So, condense the caption, summarize the key moment in as few words as possible, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And this goes on. And this is an example of a lot of prompting. This goes on and on. There's a lot of just natural language prompting here. All right. So I also want to talk about the architecture. Now, at SSW, most of the applications we do are business apps. I would say the majority of our apps are probably clean architecture. We also do modular monoliths and vertical slice architecture. Sometimes we're fixing up microservices, not our favorite job to do. But we have this software architecture decision tree. So, for example, our most popular architecture would be clean architecture, and you can jump into here and see rules on using clean architecture. There's a whole bunch of documentation here on how to do clean architecture. We also have vertical slice architecture, which is kind of a nice way to structure a project as well. We have modular monolith, especially good for large projects. Sometimes we come across an application that is huge, like so broken up into microservices that they have even performance problems, all the marshalling, etc. And we will combine that into a modular monolith so it's not so broken up. But we have this essential decision tree we use in our company on how we do this. But what I wanted to tell you, this YakShaver project, an AI project, we weren't sure where it was going, how it was going to be structured, a lot of experimentation. We had very uncertain requirements and we dropped down into vertical slice architecture, okay? So if you jump into vertical slice architecture, there's a template here. You can have a look at this template on GitHub. I think it's quite useful. There's some videos here on you can watch how to do this. You can look through this project, see this folder here, the vertical slice architecture template. You can jump in there and you'll see essentially there's features and all the features sit under here. And this is one way of starting a project like that. Now, if I was to go back here, this is the one I was just showing you before. You can look at YakShaver. And YakShaver has a backend and a front end. The backend has most of the logic. The front end there is a portal that comes with this product where people can figure up all their projects and users and things. The backend, where the meat is, you can jump into the backend and go into source, and we'll go into YakShaver. And under YakShaver, there's features, and all the features live there. So there's a bot, there's a health check, there's a leaderboard. I showed you that leaderboard before. That's one feature. There's projects, there's prompts. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things. So that's kind of how we structured that. Alrighty. Yeah, you can have a look through that to see what you think of that. Now, what I want to do now is I want to just talk about what we are likely to do for the future. We're really happy with this. I'm happy that that people are really loving it. Certainly inside our company, I would say almost everyone. Actually, I don't know anyone that started using YakShaver and said, actually, I want to report bugs the old way. It just hasn't happened. All right, so let's talk about the future. Now, by the way, just everyone stand up so you don't fall asleep. So everyone stand up. This is voluntary. Stretch to the left. Stretch to the right. Stay, and then try and turn around. And turn back. All right.
That's correct.
All right, good. Let's talk about the future of what this Yak is going to look like. Now, there is we have a methodology. We decided to come up with this predefined workflow, okay? Now, it doesn't handle unknowns that well. And it is pretty predictable. I'm pretty happy with it. It always works for me, right? Now, it does require a little bit of user training. I think you kind of train yourself because you do it. You look at the PBI that was created and you go, oh, it didn't exactly do the right thing. So you say it a different way and you learn very quickly. It's, within minutes, you kind of learn the right way to do these things. But there is some specific things you should say, and you should explain things better. Better communication with YakShaver will give you a better PBI. And then you can use these tips when you go home to your wife or husband, and you're a better communicator. So it has all around good results. Now, let's look at how this works. Okay, this is the workflow. And I want you to understand this because there's some good and bad about this. Now, remember I showed you how we drop it into a OneDrive folder, then when we extract it out, then we do this process. Really, we take in stuff from the company, check for confidence, and it's either going to exit out, see the red exit there, or it's going to create the email or create the work item in GitHub or Azure DevOps or Jira or whatever, right? So it's either going to be there. So if you record a bad bug, it's either going to not create it or create a bad bug, one or the other. So what I learned, which I was surprised, some people they don't know how it works, and they don't know that you should always create one email per bug, not combine a whole lot of different things. And sometimes people will just record things in a way I would never expect, and other times in ways I would expect. So they might say, hey, there's a problem with this button, this looks ugly, and you need to also get that changed to Tailwind, and on the clean architecture template, this bit needs to be changed as well. Now, I wouldn't report a bug like that because I know one person is making the content changes, one person is making CSS changes, one person in our company would change things to Tailwind, and another person, I'd have to speak to Daniel about getting the template changed. And I wouldn't think of recording that all together, but some people would. And sometimes their bug report requires an email and a couple of PBIs in 2 different repositories, as example. So that is what we have today. Now, what would be a better way to structure this? Well, agent mode would be, okay? Now, I've got here agentic workflow. Look, if something is agent mode, it doesn't really have a workflow. That's the whole guts of it. But I have done it like this because I want you to understand how we are refactoring this to this, okay? So we have the same recording tools. Everything on the left is the same. Everything here is the same. This is what we would change. And this is, when we move this to agent mode, this is likely what's going to happen. It will come in here and it will take the video and the transcript, and then it will interpret that data, and then it will decide what tools. It will decide if it wants to call Whisper, or it will decide what else can I do. A little bit like a robot. Like a robot would say, what do I have? I have 2 hands, I have 2 feet. I have a mouth. What can I do? Okay, I can throw a ball. I can receive something in here, etc. So this will get the script and then work out what tool. It will then work out what tool will I do based on what they were talking about. And then it will come up with its plan. Okay, that plan, if it was, remember I recorded that bug and I said there's a problem with features. It would then need to come up with a plan of how to deal with that. And you know what that plan would look like? I bet you it would look just like this, because this is the perfect plan for one bug. So then it would come up with that plan and it would perform whatever task. Now, in my case, it would make the issue in GitHub and then it would evaluate, am I done? Well, if I'm still talking about other things, it would say, no, not done. You were talking about other things. So let's go back here and analyze. Now, every time it analyzes again, every time AI loops, it gets smarter because it has the context of what it did before. It tried some things. It might have failed, and so it knows some things and it goes back. And as each of these iterations, it gets smarter, and then it will do some other things. Oh, do I need to run Whisper? No, I don't need to do that. Do I need to create that issue? No, I've dealt with that one. What's the next bit that I need to solve? And it will just keep going around. It'll create them. So once we have agent mode, it would create, like, people will record bugs in any which way, and it will definitely work out what it needs to do because it does trial and error. And then eventually it will quit out saying, I did everything I could. Okay, great. So the next thing after we've got agent mode, or maybe before, we could do this before, this will work either way. We have this issue now that people will look here. They'll look at this backlog. See this backlog? What do you see? I see one feature here because I love emojis, and I see 4 bugs. Okay, some people will look at that and say, actually, that's not what I see. I don't see 1 feature and 4 bugs. I see 1 feature and 1 bug. That's 4 different people reporting the same bug. Now, we actually had a bug on our homepage of ssw.com.au, and a whole bunch of people report the same thing. Now, Yuli and I differ on this. He just wants, as soon as one issue is done and anything else that comes in that's basically the same, he would say, kill that, and say, hang on a sec, we've already got it. Fair enough. I often find that things aren't as simple as that, and people report bugs, the same bug, in different ways and with a slightly different thing that they want. When somebody replies back to me with an issue saying it's done, or they reply back to an email saying it's done, I usually look at what I said to get context of what I said, and then I check what they did, how they did it. Was it the database changed the way I would expect or whatever. So I like to see my own words for context to check. I'm actually interested in you guys. How many people would prefer YakShaver to always refer people back to the original bug that's basically the same? And how many people would prefer duplicates that have links to each other? Who would prefer just one bug for one thing? Okay, that's most. Who would prefer their own bugs, linked bugs that are duplicates? Okay, 2 MVPs. Outrank everyone else. Okay, quite funny. All right, good. So now the problem that we have encountered, and you will encounter if you use a tool like YakShaver or some AI tool that automatically makes bugs easy to report, is there's a lot more bugs. And when a bug appears on a homepage, a whole bunch of bug reports come in, which I'm actually happy about, because in the past, they used to get, Craigie, you saw a bug and you didn't report it. What's wrong with you? And now everyone's reporting it because it's so quick and easy. 20 seconds, it's done. So what you can do the preferred approach, and clearly the majority of the room just want 1 bug per bug. But if you do it the other way, you can vectorize the backlog, and similar bugs can be grouped together. So we're not talking about the normal approach of having a vector database where you matching words. it's the entire PBI with, image and video, etc., can be vectorized. Now, there's another thing that I think that we will need to do because it keeps coming up. Basing things just on the transcript, your mileage will vary. My mileage doesn't because I record bugs in the same way all the time and with plenty of words. I'm a fantastic communicator. My bugs come out awesome. But I can see a future where it's multimodal and it's looking at what you're saying and it's looking at the image at that moment, and you scroll down, it's looking at that image and it's looking at what you're saying, and you scroll down or you go to another page. So that will really make this much better, and we can do that image intelligence. What we probably can't do for a while is the video intelligence until we get better AI models for that. And there's one other thing I would like. I have noticed that if we could pick up the tone of voice, which we can, when people go, oh, look at this button, this is great. Like you can see, the words and, what we need, we need something that's Callum proofed. We have one guy here who is always sarcastic, and we need the tone of voice to make sure that you know whether it's great or it's great. Okay, the difference. Okay. All right. Now, here's the future. You could actually say, hey, see this features, there's features underlined. Can you please assign that to Copilot? And it would assign the user to Copilot and it would automatically get done. In fact, we could have YakShaver work out if this is a difficult or an easy thing and have easy things done by a coding agent, okay? We could work out which coding agents are better at which things and get a different coding agent to do the different task. One coding agent might be good at CSS. One coding agent might be better at .NET, etc. So, so you can imagine that happening, and so it'll automatically be assigned that way. So, I will tell you, we have been using YakShaver now for 6 months, okay? As we've had more and more users added to it. The devs are getting better PBIs. In fact, you guys tonight could talk to some of the devs on the YakShaver team, and they'll talk about how they only developed YakShaver from YakShaver content, from videos that were generated by YakShaver. Product owners get a lot less questions about what did you mean, because they have the video. They don't need an explanation of what they were talking about. There's a lot of context there. Often when you give and we used to have this rule where a client we'd teach them to send us a screenshot, and when we get to it, we would call up the client and say, now, I remember this bug you reported 3 weeks ago. We're on to that now. Do you want that done? And we would have to remind them what it was that they asked us. So meetings, just normal meetings where you witness little bugs run a lot smoother and the momentum is kept. And there is more time building software and less time asking questions about what product owners want. And I'd say in general, I feel fairly confident to say you get happier devs and happier product owners. This has been a really successful product for us internally. So I just want to tell you that these concepts apply to lots of projects. Inside your company, you will have lots of different ideas. You know how your company works. We know how AI works. So talk to Yuli or one of the guys in SSW shirts, and you will be able to talk about your project. I can tell you that I found this fascinating looking at some reports last month that our .NET projects are our number one, right? And we also have a lot of Power Platform projects, and we have data projects and mobile app projects. But AI has turned into our number 2 category in SSW. So that's really substantial. It is kind of crazy. It's AI is kind of eating the world. So in summary, I've talked about this painful YakShaving Dilemma, how people report bugs, how you can record that and turn those words into work items automatically. Gave you a bit of a demo. Happy to do some more demos after this. And how we got started on this project and how we developed it and the different ways of doing it. How prompts are now part of our code base, and what the future is with agent mode, which will be a real consideration that you'll give to lots of the applications that you built just with bits of AI magic. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. So Yuli, would you like to come up and we'll take some questions if anyone has any, and anyone online can also ask some questions. Yeah.
It just
Yes.
All right, anyone got any questions?
TJ. Either TJ.
just a good one. Have been thinking of the mix between people delivering bugs in normal GitHub and some people picking up the way you're doing it now with YakShaver and merging those things, because that is one of the cases where you get multiple different bugs which you need to separate these things. How are you thinking about that scenario?
As in, you're worried about if people still create them manually and some people YakShave them, those who YakShave will see the duplicates, but those who don't won't?
Of course, some people of course do that. External people, you put a little bug to come in many different ways.
Yeah, so one feature we want, which is in the backlog, we're not done yet, is the ability, some people just like text, right? They like putting a screenshot. Maybe they have an email thread about a topic already and they want to kind of get that into the backlog. So we already have an email address for YakShaver. So we want to be able to just send an email to YakShaver. It looks at the email thread and figures out, right, I know what the problem is. I can see the screenshots that are appropriate and take it actually, instead of voice to text, it would go text to text and transform an email into a well-structured PBI as well.
That is the part that YakShaver does now. But what about the bugs coming in directly to first your GitHub account?
I'd like to ask you a question, TJ, if I could. You're the developer of NUnit, right? A highly technical product with a broad user base out there in the world. Would you want people recording a video and have an automatic PBI created from just random people in the community, or would you prefer them type their bugs as they do today?
They can choose themselves. If they can do it, set it in with the recorded video, whatever, that's the best thing. Because one of the problem with bug reporting in, like I mentioned, NUnit, is that you don't understand what they're talking about in 80 to 90% of the cases. It's incomprehensible. So you have some automatic answers like, can you please upload a refro? And stuff like that. And that is a process that also can be automated through an AI agent. But we have to accept bugs coming in many different ways. You also mentioned, in that case, the interesting thing you mentioned about multiple refos. Some bugs should go to that team, some should go to other teams. That is something we also have in NUnit. We have 40 different projects, are there? 10 active, and we need people always, not always, many people add bugs to the wrong repo. And we need, in GitHub, we can transfer from one repo to another, but to have that automated, like I said, to make the AI engine YakShaver be able to move things to the right repo, that it will be awesome.
Right.
Yeah, that's been a useful tool. We found one of the design decisions we made was to not kind of have the video go into a draft and then you check the draft and then commit it. We wanted it to be hands-off for most use cases. So you just do the recording and then you carry on with the meeting, carry on with your day. And then it tells you on Teams, hey, I've done it. You can look at it, you can change it if you want. But if you don't want to, it's there. You know, if you trust the system, it's good enough. Because of that decision, we had to have like graceful rollbacks, right? So we had to have an easy way to go, that's got it totally wrong, delete, undo. or you've picked the wrong project, but the one that it's actually needs to go to is in Azure DevOps, not in GitHub. So we needed a way to be able to sort of regenerate it elsewhere and close it in the first place and all that stuff. And we've added those in, and they've become really nice, easy, low friction ways to do things. So yeah, it's worked well.
That sounds cool. One other thing you mentioned there was the thing that the simple bugs can be fixed directly by redirecting to Copilot.
Yeah.
And if you've been playing a little bit with this AI tools like Copilot on these things, and Cursor, for example, then you see that something with also to run a test, they will see that there's a bug and they'll try to fix it. So you can actually do an automatic thing here. Let YakShaver find the bugs, send the bugs to Copilot to fix it, and then automatically.
Yeah, you ready? YakShaver, find the bugs.
Yeah.
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 For example,
would be
Or operator, for instance, a computer use agent.
YakShaver operates with Cursor, for example, because that's the one I played most of. The Copilot is not that effective in that.
Yeah.
But you have to ask it to create some code, and normally that code is not working. So you ask it to create the unit test for it, and you have to ask it to run the unit test. And then you see that the unit test is failing if you prompt it in the correct way. And then it starts, I see the issue, let me fix this. And it starts that. So it's looping around.
Yeah. Well, that happens already within the coding agents anyway, right? Like they don't need to swap between different code agents. So
but having that in more automation.
Yeah. Well, the concept here was really, first off, how do I quickly and easily coordinate with my human development team, right? As we move along, as Adam said, the easy items, we'll be able to either ourselves twig, this is an easy one, I'll give this to Copilot. So when I do the YakShave, I'll say, give this one to Copilot, assign it to Copilot. Or it can have the intelligence itself to go, right, I have created the bug and I know that this is an easy enough one or an easy enough feature that I can give it straight to Copilot. Or as Callum said earlier, just give everything to Copilot and just give the humans whatever it craps out on.
Yeah.
That's fun too.
It's mostly.
And it's the same, this would be a step-by-step thing.
Yeah.
Moving step-by-step into the future, but you can really not see where it will end.
Yeah. Well, this is where, at least for now, the humans are creating the backlog, and maybe, the robots are building the code. But maybe, as you say, one day the robots build the backlog too, and we just sit around.
I've never had a conversation with TJ that didn't come back to unit testing. And now we're switching from Norwegian TJ to Turkish TJ.
Other TJ. I just wanted to ask, did you guys, first of all, congratulations, this looks really awesome. And did you try running this through your customers, where bugs are usually like, hey, this page doesn't work, I don't like this, it doesn't work for me, and no more detail than that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the difficulty is because the way we've built it to start off with is it looks at your company's projects for its splitting, like which project is it? Well, we look at your company's projects. The idea is absolutely that we give it to our clients as well for us to use on our clients and for our product owners to use on the projects that we're using. But we're also going to give this to our clients for free in most cases anyway, so that they can use it across their organizations while they're working with us as well. Yeah, but this is a great gateway drug for AI, right? You've got a company, they start using something like this, they go, wow, this is so much more efficient. Where else in my business could I be much more efficient? And then we have those conversations, and that's when the fun starts.
Pretty much every time you implement an AI solution, people's minds start changing from their fixed mindset, and then the conversations become way more interesting about what repetitive manual things can be done that they didn't even think could be automated. Mm-hmm.
And just to add to other TJ's comments, I think you can even use a multi-agent system like AutoGen or something to fix the code. So basically you fix the code, you look if the bug is solved or not, and you can use different agents.
Yeah, a multi-agent framework.
That will be really, really powerful.
OpenAI just came out with one last week called the Agents SDK, which is built on Swarm. So yeah, that's happening as we speak. Any other questions in the room? Any online?
I haven't been looking. Does anyone have any?
No. Okay.
You will.
JK's there, but I don't think he's asking any questions. He's got all the answers, not the questions.
We've also got half the dev team in the room, so they know the answers.
And if any of the dev team have, I've got a question from Hajir. Can we use different models for prompting? That's a good one.
Yeah, so we're using, just FYI, actually we didn't talk about it much. We're using 4.0 for pretty much everything. So GPT 4.0. There are other models, right? We've got the thinking models. You've got the inference time models like O3 Mini High or something like that. So the reason we haven't moved is because 1, 4.0 has become better since we started it. 2, it's become 10 times cheaper. And 3, in our fixed workflow, it like in each node of the workflow, it's smart enough to know what we're trying to do. So we haven't needed it to be smarter. Once we do get into agent mode, I anticipate we'll need thinking models because they're making much more complicated plans and decisions. So yeah, we might try Claude 3.7 Sonnet. We might try O3 full if it's out by then. We'll see how smart we need it to be to get a good result. It's a fun thing to be working on.
Does any of the dev team want to comment on their major pain that they've had? Like obviously before this project, they had done traditional .NET developer projects, and this has been a complete change. Has it been more fun or more stressful?
Today was stressful.
Tell it, Tom.
Today was stressful preparing some stuff for your presentation.
Oh, yes. Okay. There's deadlines.
Change.
Oh, yes. I was asking for some last minute changes to the leaderboard. Yes. Because I thought it was important to put the cost of a bug when I realized from that deep research that a bug, I kind of always thought a bug takes about 15 minutes. Like I guess if there's 5 other people in the room, I should have 15 minutes plus 5 or times 5. So that was a pretty expensive bug to report. But then when I started looking in the deep research about how much other time it takes to understand and poorly understood bugs require reconversations, and how people have studied this. And, some people are saying that bugs typically take 3 hours on average. And other people say, 15 minutes on average. There's a lot of different states with a lot of different numbers, but they're expensive. And, developers, developers cost a lot of money. And if they're not understanding things, then that's a real cost. And the YakShaver, it was really initially done so we stayed on track, and we didn't, the most frictionless way to not step over a bug. But, it ends up having a lot of benefits for product owners and developers.
Yeah, so me personally, when I come across a PBI and it's just TBC or nothing in there, just the subject line, it's very frustrating.
So you much prefer to receive a bug report that was YakShaved?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Oh, well, there's the proof in the pudding. Yeah, and Tom's not easy to convince. Not anything. How do you feel, Rick?
Yeah, I'll comment on the unit testing that we have in the project. So one fun thing to unit test with AI, it's randomness. So sometimes in unit testing, you're supposed to get a certain answer on a test case. For example, 1 + 1 = 2. That's always true. But when you test with AI, that's not always true. For example, if we want to extract who was mentioned in this PBI, and sometimes AI will say, oh, the person A and B were mentioned. But sometimes it will say A, B, and C were mentioned. So it's create this uncertainty, and often our unit tests will fail during the CI/CD pipeline, and our developers will have to rerun it, and then your test pass the second time. So that's so different to the traditional .NET project.
Right. And tell me, same question. How do you feel when you receive a normal bug that someone's typed out versus a YakShaver bug?
Of course, YakShaver.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Good to hear.
Yeah. Unless it was one of your old school, I spent half the meeting doing this bug.
Can we ask one more question? Because TJ will want to know this. What unit testing framework are you using?
XUnit.
Oh, TJ's not going to be happy about that. All right. Never mind. And he'll tell you all the reasons he wants the mic. He's going to tell you.
No, it's I go without XUnit is awesome. And XUnit is the opinionated unit testing framework. NUnit is the broad and opinionated framework. So I was speaking with Brad, Wilson, who's the man behind it. We had meetings with him. So there's not so that some years ago back now, but there's two different frameworks. But one thing to be aware of right now is fluent assertions. Because the assertion library in XUnit, that is not so very good. So what people normally do, and I've seen in your open source projects that you're also using fluent assertion. And that is something to be aware of now that's being licensed for commercial work.
Yes, that's now that's put the cat amongst the pigeons, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so NUnit doesn't have the fluent assertions problem.
Well, you can use fluent assertions with NUnit, but NUnit has its own built-in fluent assertions stuff. But the obvious way with XUnit is to replace fluent assertion with shouldly.
Shouldly.
Because shouldly is pretty much equal. You can, if you make a list of the terms there, you see that it's very, very equal at the top level part of it. Fluent assertion has some more libraries for the more detailed things. And I noticed that you guys actually are using those lower level libraries.
Yeah.
You're using a lot of stuff. So shouldly is a little bit simpler. But that is a good alternative. Because writing XUnit over to NUnit, I'm not sure it's worth the effort. But for integration test project, for example, NUnit has way more functionality than XUnit. But for fast project, is kind of bleeding edge type of project, which is not too much code, the XUnit is awesome.
Well, with all the fluent assertion kerfuffle, which was huge in our industry, did you get any users going back to NUnit?
We don't have any numbers on it, but I noticed lately that there's a lot more interest and they're coming in more people with requests and stuff. And we got the question asked if we will simply take some of the functionality from IDs from fluent assertions and add them into...
Right. Well, that smells of people migrating over.
Yeah, so something is happening there. But I believe that more people will actually move to shouldly.
Nice.
And that is, we are going to meet one of the shouldly guides in the MVP summit in
next week.
We'll have a meeting and he'll be there so we can talk with him and ask him what it is.
Now, didn't I tell you, Yuli, every time TJ is around, all conversations go back to unit tests, even when you're doing something as exciting as AI.
Just to end the story, I'm not interested in unit testing.
Really?
No, I don't like it. But it's the only thing that makes software works. And if you work with programs like Cursor.
Like what? Cursor. Oh, Cursor, yep.
And try to use that to create your code. If you don't have unit testing there, it's simply you get just bullshit out. It doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true. And obviously, unit testing has become more important with AI projects that are now kind of more fragile. Yeah. So maybe...
and also AI generate the unit tests, so that helps.
That's right, yeah.
Absolutely. You can make the generate the unit test. You just have to tell it correctly how to generate it. So it can generate both the positive and negative sides and cover this or that or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, our test coverage is exemplary, right, Rick? Never goes down.
Yeah, so... JK is just making the point, even if YakShaver gets it very wrong, you have the original recording to help you understand the original issue. Yeah, that's the guts. I'm interested asking the dev team, do you guys read the actual problem and description and acceptance criteria, or do you typically just watch the video? Can I just ask one of you?
Well, I had the funny example when we did the CTF, and we were supposed
to... That's the chewing the fat we do.
Yeah, but we supposed to try YakShaver out. I recorded something very simple. I can't remember the gist of it, but the whole transcription was something completely different than I was talking about. It hallucinated like so much. So the video was obviously about something completely different. So,
As a developer receiving a YakShave, do you typically read the content or do you just watch the video to see the problem?
at first I read actually the content.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Can I have your opinion, Rick, or one of the other devs?
I will quickly read through the page, but I will still watch the video.
Oh, wow. I only read the title and watch the video. Yeah, that's funny. Okay.
I found that the pain section
Yes.
is a really nice kind of executive summary of what the problem is.
Right.
So especially if it's a longer video, it's going to give you the gist of it pretty quickly. I'll tell you one thing though that's been interesting since, because we've got kind of had this running for ourselves, I don't know, 8 months ago or something, and we've been using it since then. So we've got some quite old YakShaved PBIs, and sometimes I go in and I look at them, and I look at the title and I'm like, what was this about? I don't really remember. Like it's been a while. You know, one of the devs is asking me about it because there's quite a, do you still want this kind of thing? And then I watch the video and I see myself when I see what I was wearing and I see where I am, and all of those extra cues jog my memory, and the tone of voice and what I'm talking about, how I say it and all that kind of stuff. Suddenly, if you take them back to actually watching a recording of yourself saying the thing, suddenly you remember the whole scene. You remember that whole meeting or whatever, right? It's really powerful. It's like when you smell something and it reminds you of something 20 years ago, right?
Yes.
It's the same concept. You know what I mean, right? So yeah, I found that really useful. So I go, oh yes, I know what that is, and I know why I did that.
Right. Well, now you know
Cool.
why when somebody calls me to say they've added some feature, I say, show me the PBI that I made, or go back to the bottom of the email of what I sent to remember. And that's the reason that I don't want all bugs confirmed, it combined into one, because I want to see what I asked for and whether it covered what I wanted, not what some other person reported the same bug about. So anyway, that's why. So I can smell the same feeling. Yeah, it's very good. All right. Any other questions, comments from anyone? Levi?
Yeah, I remember that brainstorming. I remember Yuli and the guys getting up on stage, and I thought to myself, okay, cool, this is just another dev tool. And I kind of, after all the fun and games and all the videos, I kind of just blanked out a little bit. But then something unexpected has happened. You've made this tool that was originally built for making devs' lives easier. And initially the thought was devs would be using it to make devs' lives easier. But realistically, it's the entire company that's using it for the devs. So all of a sudden you see the sales department, which I'm a part of. I couldn't stand logging bugs. In fact, I used to have arguments with that all the time. I'm not touching GitHub. I'll just send them to the dev team and they can work it out. I think I put my hand up for the half past. Just send them the screenshot, fix it, thanks. But all of a sudden you have me now, someone who's trying to be busy with sales, jumping in and doing 10 to 20 bugs a month now, or features. Someone like our marketing team, like Suzanne, running it as well. So all of a sudden you have your whole team, your whole company using this tool. It's quite extraordinary what you guys have accomplished, because there would be no way I would log 20 bugs a month.
Yeah, actually, so a really good example is we do finance meetings and board meetings and stuff, and we're often looking at Power BI reports, right? And if I'm looking at a Power BI report with a group of executives, I want to be looking at the data and making decisions. But Adam's a option D kind of guy. So
Bradley.
Yeah. So he would rather spend the whole meeting going, actually, this report would be slightly better if we, had the heading like this. But it's so easy. YakShave changes to Power BI reports now. And you can not only give the changes you want, you can also give, here's the information I'm trying to infer from this data. I don't get it. It's really confusing. I don't know exactly what to ask for, but you're a data scientist. You figure it out. This is the decisions I'm trying to make based on this data. Show it to me in a way that's going to be more effective, right? And that sort of contextual autonomy that you can give to someone by saying, here's why I'm asking for the thing I'm asking for, and I don't know how you're going to achieve it, but use your expertise and get that done. That's something that's much easier to do in a video than it is in a GitHub item or something. So that's kind of cool.
All right. Yes, Suzanne.
Hi. Do you anticipate that YakShaver could be used for something outside of bugs, for example, reporting a maintenance issue in the building?
Yeah, no, 100%.
For example,
100%.
a lighting sensor that I could just go
Yeah.
and take a video.
So my wife's a nurse, a surgical nurse. And when I told her about this straight after the brainstorming day, when I'm like, we had this great idea. She's like, oh my God, I want that, because her job is she's in charge of all the equipment for surgeries, right? And things are broken or things are missing and things are in the wrong spot and all this sort of stuff. And there's 1,000 different departments which are in charge of all the different things. And it's almost impossible to keep track of who you whinge to about what. And so she's like, I need this in the hospital. This would be amazing. So at the moment, we've hooked it up to email, GitHub, and Azure DevOps, because we're devs and we use it there. But next off the ranks is Zendesk and ServiceNow for sysadmin style tickets. We're going to have Jira, although Atlassian has bought out Loom and they're trying to do something similar themselves now. They copied us. We were there first. But we're going to Monday.com, Workday, like all of the sort of task tracking systems. It's super easy for us to just put connectors into each one. So that once we've got this and maybe agent mode done, it'll just be tool, and we'll just be hooking it into every system we can think of. So we've positioned it for devs at the moment because it's so good for devs and it's such an obvious thing. But yeah, it's usable by anyone. And we use it already for our marketing team, our design teams, our admin team, management team.
Every single person in the company is using it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That's cool. I can anticipate it being used in loads of different industries, for example, even on larger scale maintenance when things break down in manufacturing facilities and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's a really big market for it.
The only risk I see is the more potential projects you have, the more chance of picking the wrong one, right? The more chance of the AI not having quite enough information to know, I should have picked this project instead of that project. But as long as you have a graceful way to go, no, you got that slightly wrong, it's fixable. Another business model that we're thinking of at the moment, we're selling this to organizations to say, in your organization, this can work. We've thought of it as an alternative to user voice. So user voice is a way for people to, like a company that has a big product will have a user voice for all of their customers to be able to give feedback, right? And you often end up with duplicates in that situation. Everyone wants the same thing. So you try and end up with these upvotes on the same item. But people have to manually do that, right? So we'll sell this to a company who wants to get feedback about whatever, Salesforce, right? They want to get feedback about Salesforce and they want all their customers to give feedback. All people have to do to give them feedback is whinge at their computer. What the bloody hell is this? This feature's awful. It should be like that. And then it automatically figures out which item it should upvote, all that stuff. So yeah, that's going to be cool, I think.
Well, I love it. So thank you for me.
Thanks, Suzanne.
So I worked before in a manufacturing line as a IT person there, and we did a whole lot of automation. So I was involved in a lot of departments, especially maintenance. I think in like that industry could benefit from that because they have to, if a machine breaks down, they write usually reports like on paper without much context. So they could use quickly the phone, record the problem.
With the camera, film the issue.
Correct. So they would have more context because usually the person who finds the issue with the machine, which breaks down, is not the person who's going to fix it because they've dedicated maintenance.
Yeah. And also they might not know who's supposed to fix it.
Correct.
So this takes away that friction because you don't need to know, oh, I know this is Bob's problem. You just go, hey, there's a problem. Here it is. Ether, figure it out.
Yeah. So there's definitely a potential in different industries that IT is about.
Question from Louis.
Yeah, just following out on what Suzanne said, have you ever considered buying hardware and doing some fine tuning for a specific industry? Is that being part of the conversation at some point?
What was the first question?
So you know how we switched to talking about, we can implement this in this industry and that industry. Have you ever considered like buying actual hardware and doing some fine tuning to try it, fine tune to specific industry and the use case?
What hardware are you thinking? What hardware are you thinking? Such as?
Computer. All right. So basically, even if we don't purchase hardware, buying some cloud compute time or whatever, however we do it. Yeah. Okay. So
Hardware is a little bit more.
We could do that. So at the moment, we're doing it all via RAG. As Adam said, we inject the context of all the different projects that it could be talking about at inference time. We could fine tune, especially in an area which doesn't change very often. So the benefit, as Louis is very good at this stuff, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. But for the benefits of RAG is that it's up to date on the spot, right? As soon as you add a new project, it's in the mix straight away. The problem with fine tuning is you have to then refine tune every time your landscape changes. But if you're in a not very often changing landscape, you can have much cheaper inference by using a fine tuned model. So yeah, it could be an option. We did talk about it right at the beginning, but we discarded it pretty quick. But it could be something we look at again later.
Why did you try that? Because it was bad.
No, because we change all the time. We were using new projects all the time. New clients come on board. We thought, the fact that it needs to be updated all the time was a problem for us.
Got it.
That's really it.
Right now, what is your plan for bringing it to clients? Are you planning on presenting it to the dev team or to the team maker?
That's a very good question. This is the first time we've shown it publicly, right? So we will talk to our expert marketing department, but I would tell you that devs are influencers. They're not decision makers, but when a dev finds something cool, or if a product that is meant to be a cool project, but like sounds awesome, but if devs don't think it's good, it doesn't have much validation. So if devs all start using some cool, watch or something, and they, it signifies to them that it's good, they become evangelists and they influence a lot of people. And then the cool cats get on board, and then the people that have the money listen to some of those influential devs. So I'm going to guess via devs, but you've got to create demand, and demand is created by decision makers who care about how much ROI do I get. That's why I made the changes to the leaderboard. When I realized I'm going to show this publicly, and it hadn't really occurred to me until the last day or so, we should put the actual value of these bugs that we've been doing, and we should value it. And that's why I wondered whether we put it on the report, because that is the main thing for decision makers. Devs are going to say, I don't want to see that. I actually expected, because this room is mostly full of devs, they would say, get rid of that BS off my leaderboard, because, bugs can be quick or they can be long. I don't need some average there. But most of you liked it. So
the main number I liked was the total number of yak shaved that wasn't in the first one.
Right.
Not necessarily the time and money.
Right.
Time and money, they're okay. But the total number of yak shaved, I thought that was a real, cool.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're putting the link off to how it's calculated. And whether it's that figure or another figure, it's a big figure, whatever it is.
We do have one issue at the moment, which is that when you install this application, you install it across your whole org, because it integrates with your Enter ID, which is how it knows the people that you can send emails to, etc. But that means you've got to have the sysadmins give authentication across the org. So we kind of have to sell it to the organization. We can get the devs interested in it, and we're going to have to figure out a low friction way for them to be able to use it on a smaller scale. But if you want to use it in your work needs to sign off on it.
Yeah, I would argue that the developers are used to new technology coming in all the time, but the non-technical team aren't. So they need to be specifically told, this is what we're doing of why, and we're just letting you know that it's been implemented, and here's all the ways that can make your life easier.
Yeah.
Because it's saving you time, but you're also forgetting that you're taking a barrier away from people who aren't technical. So many people in SSW can now report bugs that they weren't going to and weren't able to. Not just they couldn't be bothered, but they just couldn't. They didn't know how. And most companies are not just technical teams. Like, technical teams make up a small percentage of staff. And so even if you're targeting technical companies, so many of their staff.
Yeah, well, this is why we wanted to expand it out to not just GitHub and Azure DevOps. We wanted it to work with Workday and Monday.com and all the sort of other work item management software that people use for administration tasks and knowledge work and all that kind of stuff.
But one of the things you don't want to do is boil the ocean.
Yeah.
You want to see, is it, with a specific vertical using GitHub, do they go for it? If they start going for it, because we feel pretty confident. It's been validated by
great for that.
A lot of people. So I feel pretty confident that once we see it being used in NUnit as an example on GitHub, like an open source project, we know it's good then.
It's one of the good things about it being all wide, though, is like a company will bring it in for their devs and suddenly realize that everyone's using it. Yeah, and they're not just using it to talk to the devs; they could be using it to talk to each other as well. Yeah.
Is that a question from Eve, or are you somebody online has said this easy ticket creation in YakShaver can lead to way too many issues in the backlog.
Yes.
That's going to stress out devs. How do we prevent that problem? Yeah.
GitHub Copilot.
Yes, GitHub Copilot automatically fixing this and not needing devs. Devs better than start whinging.
No, this is very true. It's like I was just looking at the GitHub, the GitHub backlog for YakShaver, and we're pretty on top of it. We've got a decent sized team working on it. Yeah. We've got 250 items in the backlog just because everyone's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if, can we do this? Oh, I've noticed a small issue.
That's why my bugs aren't getting fixed. All right.
Yeah, no, backlog refinement becomes a whole thing, which is why some of the stretch goals that we want is duplicate detection and, help with ordering and organizing into epics.
Right, yeah. I started asking YakShaver, and on my title, please put 2 emojis there to make mine stand out for others.
I have a suggestion for the duplicates.
Do you want to YakShaver?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Go. What's your question?
What if for the bugs that are potentially a duplicate, instead of just putting a link in, maybe putting in the title like a little emoji, which is this bug report is a potential duplicate of another bug.
Yeah, like an upvote.
Yeah.
You could say an upvote. So you say like, here's 7 people have reported the same bug.
Well, like still creating a new one every time, but just so that if you're looking at a list of reports and there's 200 of them, but 40 of them have that same emoji, you can say, well, at least I know that there are.
Yeah, so
a custom emoji as a grouping.
Yeah, she needs a custom emoji. This is a question. It looks like a duplicate, like, recycle thing. And then in the first line of the description, it says possible duplicate. Here's the one that you need to check it out.
Yeah, I would even treat it as a user voice, as you said. So just treat it as this issue has been uploaded.
Yeah.
So that will be much easier way. Just make AI categorize things. And hey, this category, for example, password not being reset correctly, have been voted for 12 times. And if you want the details, you click on that 12 and just give you a list.
Yeah.
It's actually quite easy.
Yeah.
There has been a comment online from Ikurid who says, GitHub has a labeling system if you're worried about issues being potential duplicates, so you could just create your own custom label. That'll make your issues
easy to search.
Easy to search as well. Yeah, good suggestion. Thank you, sir.
That's a very good comment, actually. Got that from him. Because that's in any unit, we have this problem with many people.
We're back to in here.
Solving. And because there's a lot of issues coming in from many people. And the process we have is that if we see that this is a duplicate, it will also tell an AI engine to figure it out. We simply add that label from the comments the guy mentioned that. We have such a label, we label it, and then we close that duplicate issue, which are marked as duplicate. We just close that. But the point of having these duplicates linked, we link to the thing is a duplicate of course, we link to that one, and we mark as duplicate. The point of having that is that they may contain extra information.
Which is what Adam likes.
Yeah.
And to have that extra information means that the developer can work through 3 duplicated reports there. I can look at that.
Yeah.
And it will be even better if YakShaver could read off these manually created bugs, back to my first comment, and then extract out the totality.
100%. That's why I said, because Adam and I had this conversation when we were working on the slides, and he said, I don't want them closed. I want to be able to see the differences. I'm like, all right, what if the new one comes in, and instead of just closing and saying, it's close enough to that one, it instead merges the two and gets a superset of everything that's been asked for and puts it into one place, and then gives you the link.
Merge them. If it simply creates a new one.
Yeah, it creates a new one and has links to the sub ones, which is I said.
Keep the original.
But you can then close the sub ones as duplicate.
That's why CJ and I get along so well. We think exactly the same. We're like twins.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
sure, buddy.
On that screen, not to you may not categorize them correctly to merge. For example, password resetting is not working is not the same as I didn't receive a password reset link. Maybe that person received it, but he clicked on the link and it didn't work, right? That's a very different. So the first comment on that thing that Adam showed was a big way, for example. So it may not be always possible to categorize or merge them.
But so what I mean by merge is actually take the text from both, put that into a large language model and say, make sure I've got all the details. Give me one new item that has all the details from these two.
Yes. And the new item links off to the sub items.
Yeah.
And the sub items say, refer to the main one. Get that one done first and then close these ones.
That's the concept, yeah.
Just one more comment. We do not change the title of the bug that's coming. If we use the labels only, because we don't want to change the original information coming in that has a value from. So they don't change other people's content.
I agree. Yeah, very good. All right. Anybody else want to say anything? Lewis, you got anything? You've done a great job on this. Stephen? No. Been a lot of people I should thank. You've done a great job. And obviously, I hope people enjoyed tonight's presentation. Don't forget, if you want to try it out, send me an email and I will get you on. My email address is adamcogan@ssw.com.au. And thank you all for coming tonight. And I will see you next month.